And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for July 9th. One tropical storm is active today. That's Tropical Storm Cristina in the eastern Pacific, which has been struggling a little bit but still could become a hurricane in the next few days. It would be the first one of the year over there. Elsewhere, nothing yet on the cards, at least not in name, but we do have a 70% area in the on the east coast of the United States, one of two areas of interest in the Atlantic. This day 39 of hurricane season, a 10% near the Azores as well. Those are our numbers right now. Day 56 of the eastern Pacific hurricane season, Cristina's there and a 10% right over it, although that 10% is really towards day 4 and 5, so Cristina will be long out of the picture by the time that system gets there. Nothing to talk about in the Western Pacific, which is becoming quite a bit of a trend recently. There's been nothing to talk about there for over a month roughly. And in the Indian Ocean, there is a 10% chance area of interest off the western coast of India right now. Certainly looks interesting, but most likely will not become anything. Looking at Invest 98L, currently has winds estimated 35 miles per hour, pressure of 1008 millibars. It's 37 miles south of Morehead City, North Carolina, 34.2 degrees north, 76.8 west. We expect that this will become probably a tropical storm, but there is an outside chance it could be subtropical, and then it will move inland into New England by day 2 to 3. And then turn post-tropical as it enters Canada. So a very interesting system there riding up the east coast over the next few days. So there you can see the system right now towards the bottom of that circle, the 70% area. It's looking fairly disorganized at the moment, sheared off to the eastern side, a lot of those cloud tops, and still struggling to get a center of circulation going, but it is getting there, and it most likely will become just a brief little something and will probably deliver tropical storm force winds if it isn't actually a tropical storm itself, if that makes sense. So Cristina's towards the center of the picture here in the eastern Pacific, and you can see it's becoming a rather broad system. A 10% chance for a later system that will enter the picture soon, but Cristina there is the main show in the eastern Pacific right now. A swirl to the western part, to the west of the storm, that will probably get swallowed up by it pretty soon. Here's a look again at a rather timid western Pacific at the start of this main part of the season, and not much to talk about here at all. Just a little disturbance there in the Philippine Sea, but really nothing to talk about. There is still a lot of rainfall occurring in those flood affected regions of China and Japan though. In the southern Pacific, more of the same really here, a winter pattern, a few thunderstorms blowing up through the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu. And in the Indian Ocean, again, we're looking at that 10% area, which doesn't look too bad, but very difficult for a system to get going in the North Indian Ocean during the monsoon. So it doesn't look like that's going to become anything, and would only have about 6 or 12 hours to do so. So looking at the eastern Pacific, sea surface temperatures, a few areas of 30 degrees now off the coast of Mexico. And you can see that the 30-degree area is really widening in the Atlantic around the Gulf, Florida, Cuba, also through the Bahamas, 30 degrees, and the Gulf Stream looking pretty healthy there as well. 26-degree waters up to the Delmarva Peninsula, looking at that potential system right now. Out to sea also fairly high, halfway across the ocean. The Indian Ocean looking like this, 30 degrees off the coast of India and Pakistan, where the system is right now. Elsewhere looking decent, and in the western Pacific very much the same as what it's been recently. I think that's a small area of 32 though off the coast of China near Hainan Island, that peninsula which I always forget the name of. But the Philippine area fairly warm as well, 30 degrees plus. Systems will not find too much difficulty in intensifying in that area if we actually get the systems in the first place. Sea surface temperature anomalies, very much the same as what it's been. A warm pool where Cristina is right now, and another warm pool where the Invest 98L is, and that blue current there, the eastern Pacific, showing quite a well-defined La Nina still in effect. And this is Tropical Storm Cristina, the one we thought we'd take a look at close up today. because we don't have a close-up floater on Invest 98L just yet. So this is how Cristina's been looking. The coast of Mexico probably getting a little bit of rain out of this, particularly towards its eastern band. But the center of this system has been looking quite disheveled and broad for quite a while. It was really struggling yesterday and the day before. Now it's at around 60 miles per hour, and that's probably mainly due to its size and the amount of convective cloud tops that are blowing up there, although those latest frames showing that they've decayed a little bit. You can see they were really going for it early in the day, but now not quite so much. A little bit of rotation, but not a huge storm, although it could still get towards hurricane status in the end in a couple of days. And looking at the models for Invest 98L, you can see there most of the models do agree that it will reach storm strength. Whether that's a tropical storm or a subtropical storm or a non-tropical storm, that still remains to be seen, and that's what we're going to find out. Wind shear moderate, 15 to 20 knots. Sea surface temperatures good. Relative humidity pretty good as well. Land interaction will of course be one inhibitor of this system, especially if the HWRF track verifies there, the westward leaning model there. On July 9th, 2018, we had Typhoon Maria headlining, reaching Category 5, and we covered that storm as it moved through the western part of the Ryukyu Islands, Taiwan, and into China. You may remember that. We also had Beryl and Chris active on this day in the Atlantic, two tropical storms. Beryl was past its peak, hurricane status was its peak, and Chris was on its way, and the remnants of Fabio in the eastern Pacific. Well, in the Atlantic, the next name could be coming. It's Faye. The one after that would be Gonzalo. In the Eastern Pacific, next up is Douglas, followed by Elida. In the Central Pacific, it's Hone, the next name on list 1, followed by Iona. In the Western Pacific, we're still looking out for a fabled Sinlaku, but we still haven't found it yet. Hagapit would follow that, and in the North Indian Ocean, the next name on list 1 is Gatti. In the Southern Hemisphere, the Australian region, the next name is Imogen, followed by Joshua. The first names in the Southwest Indian Ocean this upcoming season will be Alicia and Bongoyo, and in the South Pacific, it's Yolanda. That's all for now. We'll have another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow. Check out our new look cyclone tracker on the Force 13 website for the latest up-to-date information. You can also find us, of course, on our YouTube channel, search Force 13, and also on Facebook and Twitter, Force 13 at Force 13 on Twitter for the latest updates. You can also help the project become even better by becoming an Ultimate Fan on YouTube. To see the full list of Ultimate Fan benefits and to join, visit youtube.com/Force13/join. With a special thanks to our top supporters this month. You can also check out our growing merch store so you can show Force 13's colors wherever you go. You can also find a link to our Discord server underneath this video in the description.